And in today's video, we're going to talk about the Flash movie. Now I've actually watched it. Was I wrong? Was I right? Is Ezra Miller a good Flash? Find out soon. So, if you're new around here, make sure to subscribe to never miss any of the Marvel, DC, Kaiju, Monsterverse-based content that I try to deliver personally on a daily basis. If you could, subscribe to the channel, turn notifications on, and let me know down below. Have you watched the Flash movie? If you have, did you like it? If you disliked it, let me know. But please articulate yourself properly if you didn't like it. Don't just say it sucked. Let me know exactly why you didn't like it or exactly why you did like it. And also, check us out on Twitter, WhooshTuG, and also check us out on Instagram at WhooshTu to see the beautiful face behind the beautiful voice. So within this video, we're going to do a rough review, if you like. We're going to go over the main narrative of the plot. We're going to go over some issues that people have with something in the movie, which once you watch the movie, there's not really much issue to have. And also we're going to go over the end of the movie and all that kind of good stuff. So, did WhooshTu like the movie? I hate to admit this. Oh my God. I hate to admit it. I was wrong. I really was wrong. So people thought I was hating on this movie up until the release of it. I was never hating it. I was just being critical of it. If you like something, if you dislike something, you can still be critical about it. Because, and I'm still going to say this, the marketing was hyperbolic. Even though I like this movie, the marketing was over the top. It was hyperbolic to the point where it's putting people off because they were going on about it's the greatest comic book movie ever. It's the greatest movie ever. No, it's not the greatest comic book movie ever. It's not even the best comic book movie I've watched this summer. I still think Across the Spideyverse is the best movie I've watched this summer so far. But that does not take anything away from this movie. So, Ezra Miller, I don't know how he's done it, but he's changed my mind on his version of The Flash and Barry Allen. So yes, I think Ezra Miller does a very good job of playing The Flash and a decent job, good job of playing Barry Allen. So, what is this movie actually about? Who appears? What is it? So, just as you all know, I'm always going to say this, the plot leaks were right. There were no crazy hidden surprises. Everything that I've already reported on the channel is 100% true. I do not believe there's going to be any hidden surprises added on the 16th, which will be in 2 days' time. Do not believe this. This is the finished version because I'm pretty sure it'd be illegal to drop a different version in the UK to the theatrical release in America. So no hidden surprises, but I purposely did not go to the press screener on Tuesday night. I decided to watch it with a crowd, and the hidden surprises, the crowd reacted pretty well to it, which was cool. It was cool for them. Like I say, I don't care if plot leaks are true or not. As soon as I watch the movie, I forget everything. So the basic premise of this movie is they try to stay as close to the original Flashpoint Paradox storyline as much as they can, whilst keeping it a self-contained story. Okay, cool. The main narrative is still Barry has to realize there's a set point in time where his mother, Nora Allen, has to be killed. Otherwise, this new universe that he's living in, where his mother's also alive, is completely different to the universe where he left that had, obviously, Ben Affleck, Batman, etc. We all know things never go right in multiversal movies. So, the movie ends essentially the way you already know it ends. It ends with Barry realizing that his mother's gotta be killed again in order for the natural timeline or a version of the original timeline to be restored. But what's interesting is a future version of Barry himself has to be taken out by the second Barry, who is the second Barry, because the second Barry actually set this all up when he chucked him out of the Speed Force when Barry was running back in time. So future Barry set everything up, and then future Barry killed future Barry in order for Ezra Miller's Flash to run back in time. And that's essentially the ending of that part of the movie. And then we get the ending scene, which is Bruce Wayne's calling, and it's George Clooney. He's like, Barry, are you all right, Barry? No one's supposed to know Bruce Wayne's Batman. So it is the original timeline he ran back to, but things are slightly different. It depends which way you want to interpret it. Yes, sure, you could say it's the DCU, you could say it's the DCEU, but certain things are different because Barry changed his set point in the timeline, whilst also swapping where the can of tomatoes were so that his father would get exonerated because the camera could now see his face. So obviously in this movie, before this, Supergirl and Michael Keaton are both killed. Sasha Calle does a really good job of Supergirl. The only issue I had is they market her like she's in the movie quite a lot. She's been doing a lot of the press junkets, a lot of the interviews are with her. She's barely in the movie. It's brief. It's only just a little bit more than a cameo role. Michael Keaton is in the role quite a lot. He's in this movie quite a lot. I'm not the biggest fan of Michael Keaton Batman. He did a very good job. He did hyphen the scenes he was in. I didn't feel like it was the same version of the Batman we got in the Burton universe. Like, I don't think that was the same. Zod was the same Zod that came down to terraform Earth. That was the same Zod. But his performance, his acting was nowhere near Man of Steel. This movie is basically Man of Steel in the multiverse, but instead Superboy was killed in a pod. They tried to get the information out of him, couldn't get it out of him, so they realized they needed Supergirl. So Zod actually ends up killing Supergirl, and Michael Keaton Batman dies. So it is interesting because originally they were going to have Michael Keaton go forward and be the new Batman. The original ending was going to be Michael Keaton was going to turn up at the end, and then Barry was going to be like, I put the can of tomato soup back, I put the can back. But obviously they've killed him off for a reason. And then the directors come out and go, oh, Keaton can return, Supergirl can return, there's a multiverse. Yeah, but in this movie, we find out that Arthur Curry in the universe where Barry got stuck is actually a dog. So all these superheroes are not necessarily superheroes across the multiverse. So by the director saying, oh yeah, Keaton can come back, Supergirl can come back because there's a multiverse, there's loads of different versions of Supergirl out there. Yeah, there is, and they also might not be the same actress. So I almost feel like he didn't understand it. But I think Andy Muschietti, Bob Muschietti and the team did a very good job of basically keeping the tonal tone set in line with the Snyderverse, because realistically, it felt like a DCEU movie mostly. The movie opened with Batfleck, some car chase scene where Wonder Woman's there, the Flash is there, and it worked pretty well. But personally, I think it was a waste of Gal Gadot Wonder Woman to have a cameo because she didn't really do much. It was wasted. They could have put her somewhere different. Yeah, we know the original post-credit scene was supposed to be them setting up Crisis, Ben Affleck calling Barry and saying, Barry, we need your help, and that was going to set Crisis in Infinite Earth. There is a post-credit scene, which is basically Barry explaining to Arthur Curry that, Arthur, you're a dog in a different universe. Basically explaining there's a bunch of Batman, but they're completely different people. Basically explaining that he can't just go change things in other timelines, run back or run forward and do whatever the hell he wants. I believe that's there for the normals, for the general population, so they can understand how multiversal logic works in the sense of this universe, but we don't know because James Gunn's rebooting everything. I don't believe it ends in a new universe because it just ends in the same universe. There's just a different Batman, which means even though he did go back and change the fact that Nora Allen still got killed by Ebar Thorne Reverse Flash, it still had a ripple effect and changed some things when he got back to the current timeline. And that is my biggest gripe of this movie. There is literally no tease for Reverse Flash. You don't even get to see the scene where it actually happens. They cut out completely. In the trailer, you kind of seen something. Maybe I'm daydreaming, but I swear you've seen something of the actual incident. But you don't actually see that night ever, which is a massive L, massive shame. I do think this is a good movie. Not the best movie ever. It is good, but just by adding the Reverse Flash there, it would have added so much more context. So, yes, there is a bunch of cameos, and yes, they all leaked on Twitter yesterday, I believe. And the internet's kind of taken it out of context because, and yes, Henry Cavill's Superman does appear in this movie on a TV screen right at the start of the movie, but we also see the sequence of him from the Justice League in the movie. So yes, Henry Cavill is in this movie. Some people saying he isn't. He is in it because you see him in it. So yes, they did CGI a bunch of cameos within the Speed Force, and it's got a massive backlash online. But realistically, I understand the Christopher Reeve one. I understand the Helen Slater one. But the rest of them, it's like a blink and you miss moment. Realistically, does it add any value to the movie? Do you remember it? No. Does it change the plot? Does it change anything? No. I understand it is kind of disrespectful to add Christopher Reeve, because Christopher Reeve's Superman was all about doing everything himself. So it is disrespectful, but then it's not the first time a studio decided to do this with the whole Paul Walker situation on Fast and Furious. I know he was a massive part of the franchise and it is honouring him in the way, but I don't know where I really stand on this, because I'm sure huge Superman fans would have appreciated the fact that he was in the movie in some capacity. Sure, it's a multiversal scene, so does it really count? I don't know. It was kind of funny seeing all the cameos, because Teddy Sears being the Flash again really was funny, because most people, if you didn't actually watch the Flash TV show on CW, you didn't see it. I do think it's a massive L that they didn't put John Wesley Shipp, or they didn't put Grant Gustin in this multiversal scene. Massive L. Like I said, I really like this movie, but they could have added a few things here and there. It wouldn't have taken away from Ezra Miller's performance, because like I keep saying, I can't really fault his performance. Realistically, the only thing I can fault with him is Barry 2 from the universe he gets stuck in is annoying as hell. He's really annoying. But the fact that he annoyed me, that's pretty good acting skill. And he had a really annoying laugh. And yeah, it was cool to see George Clooney being Batman. That was kind of funny. It was even funnier to see the Nicolas Cage fighting a spider scene. That was a multiversal scene as well. There was a bunch of cameos in the multiversal scene. I don't really think any of them really meant anything or it's disrespectful because it realistically didn't really have any factor and it didn't have a play on anything. It literally was a minute sequence. You didn't really see much, to be fair. There was just a few moments. And yeah, I get it. The internet reacts over anything. Was it disrespectful? It's not my place to say. It's not my prerogative to say. But yeah, he is deceased. They have resurrected him in the CGI doppelganger, and that's why people go mad. I mean, when you see it yourself, maybe it might infuriate you. I don't know, but it's not my prerogative to say that. Even when Michael Keaton came out and said, do you want to get nuts? He only said it once or twice. I think he said it twice, maybe. But yeah, sure, it is nostalgic. It is nostalgia. Not really nostalgia bait. I think the marketing made it seem like there was going to be so much more nostalgic bait than there really was. Because for me, there wasn't really much nostalgia bait. Now, to recap the whole movie, I would say, yes, sure, the third act was all over the place. It was messy because it was rushed realistically. You've got a new Barry basically getting up to speed in the space of no time at all. And realistically, there was a lot of filler in this movie, but they had to set the tone. There was an emotional beats throughout. The CGI was wonky and messy as hell. And in some parts, I don't even think the CGI was finished. But it didn't take away from the story, if I'm honest. So I can't be hypercritical of this movie, but I'm not going to go on Twitter and be one of these people going, yeah, it's the greatest movie ever. Oh my God, that Batman scene, greatest Batman scene ever. To be fair, if Andy Muschietti is going to direct Batman Brave and the Bold, I think he handled the Batman scenes pretty decent. So I wouldn't be upset by saying that. It's not really up to me or up to anyone who directs the next Batman movie, but I think he handled it pretty well. The fight scenes were okay-ish. In some parts were really good, but the CGI did let it down. Barry 2, I mean, that was all over the place. He was annoying. And I'm sure with time, they may work on it still because sometimes Marvel's done it multiple times when the movie's still in the cinema. They release a new patch with better CGI. But yeah, the CGI is really bad. So I can see the whole internet and everyone going on about how bad the CGI is, but it didn't take you away from the movie. It's not on Thor Love and Thunder level, or maybe it was in some scenes. But overall, the plot was pretty basic. Even if you knew the plot going in like I did, I still think it was a good movie. The first 30 minutes to maybe 50 minutes was kind of boring in parts. Started with a bit of a Justice League scene. And then it was realistically him trying to run back in time. Batfleck warned him not to do it. He did it anyway. Ends up in a new universe where Barry Allen is only 18 years old. Has to take him to the place where he got struck by lightning and became the Flash. And then when that happened, the actual real Flash lost his power. They went to find Batman and found out it was a different Batman. And eventually he agreed to help him. And eventually what happened is they broke Superman out, but Superman wasn't there, and it was Supergirl, and they tried to recreate the Thunder, so real Barry would get his speed back. They did that. Supergirl helped. He survived, and they went to war with Zod, and Fiora was there. Cool to see him back, but it didn't feel like the same Zod because it should have been, because that was the Zod that came down from Man of Steel. Same with Fiora. Their performances were pretty weak, but if you do look at the commentary of what Michael Shannon said recently, he said it was basically just a paycheck, so I can understand why it didn't feel that way. It felt like Man of Steel, but in the multiverse without Zack Snyder's touch, although I do think Andy Muschietti did his best. Would have been better if Zack could have came in and gave him some pointers about the Man of Steel stuff, because it's literally Man of Steel. So what I find interesting is a lot of people dislike Man of Steel, but a lot of people are going to like this movie. But this movie is Man of Steel with some Justice League moments and with a lot of Flash origin moments. There were some cool things. They did some phasing through buildings, and there's a lot of Easter eggs there. But I'm not an Easter egg channel. There's much bigger and better channels that break that stuff down. I'm here just to give you a general overview of what I thought. And if Ezra Miller was to continue being the Flash, would I be upset? No, because I can separate what happens in someone's personal life to what they do in their professional life. And I almost feel like I'm taking it out. I was wrong. Ezra Miller is a good Flash, but I just wish they put Ezra Miller and Grant Gustin, the Flash, in a scene like they did in the Crisis crossover in the CW, And I wish Reverse Flash was teased in some capacity, but he wasn't teased in any capacity. But that's my review. I did really like this movie. I would watch it again. I don't do numbers. I think that's quite a childish thing to do when you put a number on something. I mean, I know people are going to say something, but that's just my prerogative. I don't do numbers. It's either good or it's not. And it's good. So like always, guys, check us out on Instagram at WushU to see the movie release one of my voice. Check us out on Twitter, WushU2G. And we'll catch you in another video very soon. Catch you later.